All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Chris Traxler with Cirrus Technologies. And I've got Paul here with me too. I'll let him introduce himself. So today we're going to talk about working from home and how you can maximize employee productivity engagement. Now that everybody's in a work from home situation with COVID-19 and shelter in place, most businesses did it in a very quick and maybe disorganized fashion. And so we want to talk about how you can do it the right way and not sacrifice productivity, engagement, and all the other things that go along with that. Now that you're not in the office together. So to start, my name is Chris Traxler. I'm CEO of Cirrus Technologies. We're a local IT managed services company. We provide 24/7, 365 support and services to our clients. Easiest way to describe what we do is we become the IT department for small to mid-sized businesses. And I'm joined here with Paul Hendrickson.
Hi, I'm Paul Hendrickson, and I'm the project team lead for Cirrus Technologies, and I am a self-proclaimed work-at-home expert. I've been working from home for almost 3 years now, and along with the rest of our project team who also works remotely.
So today we're going to go through the tools that you need to have in place from a technology perspective to set up work from home successfully. We're also going to talk about ways that you can maintain employee engagement and productivity and the way that you can effectively manage a virtual workforce. And then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. So to start, there's really 4 different components that we want to talk about today in terms of effective work from home. One of them is going to be live communications. So examples like Zoom meetings, what we're doing right now. Microsoft Teams is another one. And there's a lot of others out there as well. Second is team collaboration. So the tools that you need to be able to collaborate and work together and manage initiatives and projects and how you do that. And then we're also going to talk about the best ways to set up remote access so that people working from home or in a virtual workforce can effectively access your IT systems and your company data. We'll also talk about projects and how to manage tasks and accountability and some software and technology that you can use to do that effectively.
So like I said, I've been working from home for almost 3 years. I love working from home. And Chris and I thought it would be helpful if I shared what's helped me the most and maybe what can help you and your employees. The first thing you should do, if you don't already have it, is carve out a dedicated workspace if it's at all possible. It's really important to do that for maintaining productivity and focus. And most of the feedback I get from first-timers working from home is that they do have a difficult time focusing being at home. And I think having this dedicated workspace can really help out with that. It sets you up for success. It's difficult to be productive when you're just sitting in front of the couch and in front of the TV with your laptop. If you have a dedicated workspace, you're able to focus your mind a little bit better. Unfortunately, it doesn't help to keep pets who are happy from having you home from interrupting your meetings. I've experienced that myself, but they're just happy to see you. The next thing is having a laptop with a dock. It's a convenient option. It's certainly more flexible than having a traditional desktop. And having that dock really helps because it allows you to plug everything in one place, and then you just have the one cable to plug into your laptop that controls all of that. Most modern docks now also have provide power to your laptop as well, and that eliminates even one more cable and one more power cable, which may be hard to place. Next is having multiple monitors. I think having more than one monitor is really life-changing. Most people who I've talked to who only have one monitor absolutely resist having a second monitor. They say they never need it until they try it, and then they can't live without it anymore. I personally have 4. I'm working on a 4-monitor setup right now. I'm not really sure I can recommend that for everyone, but having 2 or 3 is a really big help with managing your screen real estate and productivity. Worst case, in the short term, you could always set up your laptop with that dock. You could set up your laptop as a second screen with another monitor that you maybe already have laying around or that you've purchased. And then the foundation of my communications setup is my voice over IP phone and smartphone app. I'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about communications, but what that allows me to do is it allows me to field and work on any work calls basically wherever I go. I can, especially at my work from home desk. I also recommend getting a wireless keyboard and mouse. I think that having wires everywhere leads to a cluttered workplace or workspace. And I'm a little bit type A, so I like to have that nice, open, clean workspace that helps me to focus and might help you or your employees to focus as well. Wireless keyboards and mice are relatively inexpensive now, and I think if you pair it with rechargeable batteries, that's a great long-term investment. Both of those will last you a long time. And the last thing I wanted to talk about in work from home essentials is ergonomics. I think especially as we've all set up rather hastily work from home spaces, that ergonomics typically gets left off to the wayside. The most important thing you can do for yourself is to get yourself a nice office chair. Most of you have a nice chair back at your office desk, but in the rush to get set up to work from home, you just pulled up whatever chair you could get. But you're going to be sitting in this chair for a while, and it's important to have something that supports your back and your neck. It's going to greatly increase your quality of life, and I guarantee you'll be happy to have one at the end of the workday or at the end of the work week. Also going along with ergonomics, what you want to do with your monitors is either make sure they're on an adjustable plane or even set some boxes up under it so that you're not craning your neck down or craning your neck up to look at them. What you really want is your gaze to be level with about the center of the monitor as you're just kind of neutrally looking forward. It's something you're not going to notice unless you don't do it right, and I guarantee if you're not doing it right, you're going to notice it after a few weeks. So I recommend combining some or all of those ideas for you or your employees, and you'll have a more comfortable and more productive work from home environment. Next, we're going to talk about live communications. And as I mentioned earlier, having a voice over IP phone is really the cornerstone from being able to work from home successfully. Traditional systems, traditional phone systems, are usually fixed to one spot wherever that copper cable is dropped. You can't really move them around, and you certainly can't take them home. Whereas a voice over IP phone and handset allows you to set up your phone anywhere there's a network drop. Most voice over IP phones also provide a smartphone app that you can download onto your smartphone of choice that also gives you greater flexibility. And voice over IP phones are wonderful. They give you a lot of, they're very feature rich. They give you a lot of different options, including like find me, follow me features, sending voicemail to email, which I personally love. You can adjust call routing on the fly. And like I said, those smartphone apps are great because it allows me to work from anywhere as long as I have an internet or cell phone connection. And finally, voice over IP phones are more redundant than your traditional phones. They're not reliant on power or internet necessarily. So if you have an outage at your office and your phones go down, you're out of luck if you're on a traditional system. Whereas with a VoIP system, you can just take your smartphone app and fire that up and you're ready to go and get back to work. Taking one step beyond phones is chatting and collaboration. Apps like Microsoft Teams, Slack, and one you've probably heard a lot more about recently, Zoom. They all enable easy video chat, and most of them have document collaboration options. These chat applications and video chat applications are, I think, easier and less formal than email, and allows you to have a more personal connection with your other employees who are working from home. We at Cirrus have weekly standing meetings, and I have standing meetings with our project team weekly, and it really helps to keep our camaraderie up and maintain our company culture while we're apart and working from home. And that was true even before everyone was working at home. And really, what I'd recommend out of all of these apps is Microsoft Teams. It's a complete and integrated workspace platform. It allows you to video conference, to chat, to do file sharing and file collaboration. It also offers company intranet web pages, and it's all on one platform. It's really great. We've been using it more and more. And I think, honestly, I think it's the industry leading platform right now when you leverage it with the rest of Office 365 if you have that in place already. And the last thing I want to talk about in live communications is the best practices for your home network, which again, in our rush to get set up with a home office, I think that also gets overlooked quite a bit. You might have IT staff at your office who are managing your office network and making sure everything's flowing well, but you probably don't have that at home. And it's really important, especially as we all are doing more video conferencing. It's important to eliminate bandwidth hogs throughout the day and think about what is actually using your internet connection. Especially the big culprit in bandwidth hogs are video streaming, so like your Netflix and YouTube, any other video streaming applications. But you also have to think about other things, like if you have a security camera, like a Nest camera or something, those also can be big bandwidth hogs. So you want to think about what's connected. And we also live in the age of the Internet of Things. And you have to question, maybe during the workday, does your dishwasher really need to be connected to the Wi-Fi? Probably not. You can probably live without that, and that'll help free up a little bit more bandwidth. And finally, I'd recommend everyone on this call, reach out to your ISP, your internet service provider, and see if they have any options for increasing your bandwidth. Most of them are offering really great deals right now that you probably won't see for a while, and you'll be able to get increased bandwidth for pennies on the dollar. I think that's a really smart investment right now.
Let's talk about collaboration. Now that everybody's not in the office and they're home, we need to talk about how we can work together. So what is collaboration? Easiest definition is it's working together to achieve a common business goal, usually by sharing common data, documents, and working in common systems. So what we typically find with many small businesses is they're not accustomed to effective collaboration. And now that we're work from home, this has become even more paramount. So traditionally, what we've seen is a lot of companies and people sending and emailing back and forth documents as they work on them. So now you end up with 15 versions of a PowerPoint slide deck or of an Excel budget. And then what inevitably happens is you end up with one person goes in and they make a bunch of edits to the wrong version, and now they can't figure out which one is the right one. So there's got to be a better way. And really the answer to that is file sync and share. And so there's a lot of different ways you can do file sync and share. There's the consumer grade products like Dropbox and Box that have some functionality built into it. And then there's Google G Suite and Google Docs can do it as well. A more business approach would be leveraging Microsoft 365 and SharePoint and OneDrive. And what those tools allow you to do is everybody can work from the same file at the same time from any device, no matter where they're at. And they can work on it inline. So if Paul and I are working together on a document, we can work on it live, real time, and we're working from the exact same document. And Microsoft is smart enough, that file sync and share technology is smart enough to be able to replicate and sync those changes real time. So we're not even having to click save. And it makes it a lot more effective. It eliminates the email back and forth that clutters your inbox and all those duplicate files. And it allows greater functionality because you're not having to worry about what device you're accessing from. You can do it from an iPad, you could do it from a laptop, you could do it even from a home computer if you needed to. Next along those lines is having integrated email, calendaring, and contacts. There's a lot of solutions that allow you to really integrate your calendar, especially with other apps. So now your calendar might be synced with Teams. It might be synced with Slack or what other tools you're using for productivity. Your contacts, having all those in one place and having those synced across different platforms is really helpful as well. And then having email, hosted email in the cloud is definitely the way to go. Google and Microsoft are probably the two biggest players there versus having your own email server. Next to that is chat. And this is another tool that is slowly becoming more widespread, but a lot of small businesses still don't use it and they don't know what they're missing. So typical inter-office communication is email back and forth with everybody CC'd, and you have Bob in accounting who's CC'd on 15 emails who didn't need to be to begin with. So applications like Slack and Microsoft Teams are a much better way to do that. And so now you can create channels, you can create teams, and you can create sub-channels and discussion points where people can join those, and the relevant communication for whatever project you're working on is right there in one place, and it's real time versus back and forth on email. So a lot more efficient. And added to that, there's a lot of integrations with Slack and Team with other programs and applications as well. Another big thing is, in the world of IT, you don't want to have 18 different products that don't work together very well. It makes it very difficult to collaborate. So working from the same suite of tools is really beneficial. Um, Google Apps is a great example. Microsoft 365 is another, where you're using everything in one ecosystem versus you have Dropbox for this, you have another tool for that, your email's over here, and you're trying to get all those to work together. It's inherently more difficult and less productive. And the last thing you just want to be looking at is, as you're picking your collaboration tools, not all tools were built for business. Not all tools were built with security around them. And so you want to be thinking about that. Yes, there are some really free and easy tools you could set up in a pinch, but they don't always give you the security and granular control you need to protect your sensitive company data.
So we're going to talk about remote access and other work from home options. And when we talk about this, we're talking about needing an easy and secure way for you or your employees to access work applications from anywhere and on any device. Traditionally, this was accomplished through a remote desktop web application through secure HTTPS encrypted sessions. But now, as more and more things move towards the cloud, we're also seeing the remote access part of this going towards the cloud as well. And the next generation is Windows Virtual Desktops, which you may or may not have heard about yet. What those are fully functional Windows 10 desktops that you can access anywhere and from any device. And usually it's just using an existing account like an Office 365 account to securely sign you in and verify your identity and make sure you're the right person getting into that resource. It also has the added benefit of leveraging Microsoft's Azure cloud, which is very powerful, one of the more powerful cloud providers, as you can imagine, from Microsoft. And it also offers a bit of redundancy. So say you're the traditional route where you had a remote desktop web application, say that server crashes, well, you're down until that comes back up. With Microsoft's Azure cloud, they have tons and tons of built-in redundancy already there, so it's very unlikely that will go out. Talking about remote access, we also have to talk about something that's more legacy and starting to filter out a little bit, but still around, and that's SSL VPN connections. Again, that's kind of going away with the advent of cloud connections, cloud-based applications. Really what SSL VPN connections are used for is for your payroll management, your ERP, your inventory management applications that are still housed in a server on site at your office. It's certainly more secure than just opening up those computers to the web and saying, hey, whoever wants to come on in. I've seen that firsthand. It still happens. It's a huge security risk. It's a huge vulnerability that hackers like to exploit. So SSL VPN is still a good option if you have to. We're just seeing it go away a little bit. Most of what I've discussed so far requires, if you don't have it already, it does require a lot of planning and maybe some investment in infrastructure to put in place. And if you're trying to get something that's more quick and on the fly, there are remote applications that are web-based, like AnyDesk, TrueGrid, Splashtop. There are a bunch of different options out there. I personally like AnyDesk. I've used that myself on my home desktop. And what that does is it's a web-based application. You just go and you download it. Usually it's a fairly quick setup. It allows you to password protect, which if you're going that route, you absolutely should password protect it. You don't want anyone just randomly guessing your number and hopping on your computer. That would be bad. And it does allow a quick and secure, again, password protected connection back to maybe a work desktop or perhaps a work remote desktop server if you need that in a pinch. Generally, those are very easy to set up and are user-friendly. Doesn't hurt to have someone who's got some IT experience help set that up, but in a pinch, again, if you need it, that's available.
Okay, so now you need some tools to effectively manage your remote and virtual workforce. And so there's a few tools out there that are mainstream that are really good. Microsoft Project is probably front and center from a project management software. It's incredibly powerful. You can build out full functional Gantt charts and workflows. The downside to Microsoft Project is that it's also very complex and requires a lot of setup and training, and it's not something you can use easily on the fly. So another great product would be Asana, and Monday.com is another flavor of that. And the advantage with Asana is that it's web-based. You can log into it from any device anywhere. There's a smartphone app, there's an Android app, and Asana allows you to easily create project templates. You can create personal task lists, and you can use it as a personal task management software, but then you can also use it to manage projects and delegate work. And the advantage with it is that it's easy to delegate work. You can specify deadlines, start dates, end dates. You can even there's even chat functionality within it. So if you're working on a project together and you have a team of people working, and there's a chat functionality built into Asana that you can communicate through. Really, really great tool. That's what we use internally. Monday.com, it's another flavor, very similar. Both are very inexpensive and very powerful. So now that we've got a whole set of tools that we're using, now the key is how do we effectively use those tools, and how do we make this work? How do we make a virtual workforce work for us? Big thing is to start, you need to have daily and weekly huddles with your teams and departments. This is something we do at Cirrus Technologies with our critical teams and our project team. We do some daily, some weekly, and that way we're all staying connected. We do it over Zoom or Teams, so we have video, and it allows us to stay connected and work together on projects. I think another big thing is retaining accountability. So using tools like Asana to keep your critical projects and key initiatives for whatever you're working on in the business, and keep those moving forward. Leverage technology to do that. Don't use email as a task management system. I would say another big thing is now that everybody is not in the office, it's real easy for people to feel isolated, and it's real easy for your company culture to degrade. So it's super important to keep that community building going on. And so great ways you can do that, in Microsoft Teams and Zoom and Slack are great tools that you can use to do this. Particularly with Teams and Slack, you can create, community channels for everybody to just post non-business essential, but, team building communication. Hey, Joe's about to have a baby, or hey, I got an award for this, and hey, this is going on. And another great thing is, and we're doing this actually next week internally, is we're doing a virtual cocktail hour at Cirrus next week. And so we're going to use Zoom or Teams to do that. And that allows us to stay connected and keep our culture and keep everybody engaged and positive and have fun. I think the key for any business is if your employees are having fun and they enjoy what they're doing, you're going to get a lot more effective productivity out of them. Another thing is, if you go to make the investment and time and money and to develop all these technologies in your business, it's super important that this is a top-down, trickle-down initiative. It's got to come from the top, and leadership has to lead by example. If you go out and bring all these tools in-house and you start using them, but you're not pushing that as a key initiative, people are going to do what they're habitually used to doing, and they're going to do what they're comfortable doing. And so they may not adopt those tools. So real important to push that down from the top. And the other piece is, this is a lot of new technology for some people, and depending on how tech savvy your employee base is, training is going to be really important. The good news is if you have a good IT partner, they can provide a lot of training. The other thing is there's a ton of third-party training resources available. As an example, with Microsoft, they have tons of video training on how to use Microsoft Teams the right way, OneDrive, and SharePoint. And all that training is end user specific. It's not technical deep dive. It's here's how you use these tools to be productive. And of course, if anybody needed help, they can always reach out to us as well. So now we'd like to open it up for question and answer. So feel free in the question and answer to post a question. We'll go through those live and answer them. we got one question. What specific technologies do you guys use for internal communications? Paul, I'll let you answer that.
Sure. Most of what we talked about today we use internally. Chris mentioned we used Asana for team assignment and delegation of tasks, especially on projects, but also in your day-to-day necessities. We also use Slack still, but we're in the process of migrating to Teams. We found Teams to be a really great all-in-one platform, and we're starting to move towards that. Teams has gotten significantly better with a very bright future ahead of it, I think. What else? We also use Zoom for quick meetings if we need to. Again, I think that is going to fade as we get more into Teams, and I believe that's it. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
So another question that we've gotten is, can you elaborate on the differences between chat and email? So email is great when you have external communication with vendors, clients, partner relationships, particularly internal when you're working. Email is not always, historically people would email out and they would email 5 different people. One of them was CC'd. One of them really need to be on the email communication. Maybe 3 of them were CC'd on it, but they really didn't need to be CC'd. So chat allows basically instant messaging where you can communicate live. And if you're leveraging a product like Teams, not only that, but you can be collaborating on that, whatever document you're working on as well. So the chat is a better way to handle that communication. And the other nice thing about it is that chat is all in one place and it's not clogging your inbox. The downside to email is we all get so much email, and if somebody emails us, then you have to sift through and find it and respond to it. And it's not always real time like an instant messenger chat would be. So think of it like chat, just like text messaging on a mobile phone versus sending someone a formal email.
Right, and to go along with that, for chat, I usually use that as quick one-off questions if I have for other members of our project team. If I just need to know a yes or no question, do I really need to send an email out for that, or can I just quickly hop on Slack or Teams and say, hey, do you know the answer to this question, and get a quick response back rather than, again, cluttering up my email mailbox.
And the other nice thing with chat applications or Slack or Teams, you can organize all that communication into channels and teams and departments. So when I go into that, when I go into Teams or Slack, I real quickly can sift through the communication that I know I need to address or look at that's most important, and the other non-essential stuff I can get back to it later. We have another question here. If we're currently using remote desktop to access our IT systems from the outside, what would be a more secure, better way to do that? There's a lot of great options. The problem with opening up, and this is the quick and easy way to do it, is you just open up remote desktop to the world so you can access your stuff from outside. The problem with that is hackers love that. You just made it really easy for a hacker to gain access to your network, because now they can use some tools to basically brute force a username and password combination, and boom, they're in. So a better way in a pinch, if you needed to do it, would be using an application like TrueGrid or Splashtop or AnyDesk, which gives you the ability to securely, through an HTTPS connection, access that desktop in the office if you needed to. That's how to do it in a pinch. If you wanted to look at a more long-term strategy, leveraging Windows virtual desktops or remote desktop web, those are more secure ways to do it, where you're protected with encryption and complex credentials, and you can even set up multi-factor authentication with them as well. So do we have any more? I don't think we have any more questions. I think that was it. So we do have another webinar coming up in 2 weeks. And on that webinar, so today we wanted to go through the basics of work from home and how to do it the right way, the good tools that you want to have, and how to keep your employees, productive and happy. Next big thing is how to maintain security and control over your sensitive data, especially in a virtual workforce. So we're going to be talking about that Thursday, April 23rd, same time, 2:00 p.m. You can use the same URL right there to register, and we'll see you then.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys.